Hey, Emily.
Hey there,
Can
how's
you
it
hear me?
going?
I'm okay. How you doing?
We're doing good. We're doing good.
Good. So this is Chris Vietor. You guys all know me, right? We're on my Facebook page right now, and you know that I'm a realtor here in Newton. Well, Emily, who you see on the screen with me, is a good friend, and we work pretty closely together. We're involved in a whole bunch of business groups, and she's a business owner. She owns Dots and Stripes Organizing, which is based here in Newton, and she's a mom also, so she's got her hands very full right now. But Emily, I just thought it might be nice if you could go a little bit more into depth and introduce yourself more completely, I guess, and tell us a little bit about your business and the work you do day to day.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Well, I'm really excited to be here with you today. So it's
Yeah.
nice to get together even virtually. As Chris mentioned, we've known each other for quite a while now. Um, and, we've done some business together. And I am a mom. I have two small kids. My oldest is 6, and my youngest just turned 3. So I am right in the thick of it with many of you right now, trying to navigate this new normal. And about a little over almost 2.5 years ago now, I started my own home organizing business because I really wanted to be able to help people and to help people not only manage their spaces, but to really simplify their lives and to help clear the clutter and be able to manage their space to reduce stress, reduce anxiety, and to really get back to enjoying being in their spaces. So now, obviously, I can't physically go into people's homes to help with that, but I am working with some people virtually, which has been really fun. And we get in there, we can help people create a roadmap if you have a specific project. I think, in this time, we're all spending so much time in our spaces, right? And we're using them in ways we never thought we would use them. And it's a real opportunity to hit reset. And, you might be sitting there thinking, okay, yeah, well, I have 15 other things on my to-do list. You would be amazed at how much the average person can accomplish in just an hour and how much time and stress it will actually save you on the other end.
Yeah.
Because if you're walking by and certain things are stressors, and you don't do anything about it,
Mhm.
you're not helping yourself, right? And so investing as little as half an hour or an hour to deal with that stressor could free up a whole bunch of sort of mental space.
Yeah. And I mean, the scope of your services is really pretty broad too.
Yeah, I love working with families, and whether it's sort of reorganizing a space, helping with playrooms, with kids' rooms. I can work directly with kids too, right? How many times have people battled over cleaning up a kid's room
Yeah.
or a common space, and really working with kids directly and empowering them to be making decisions so they're more bought into the system.
Yeah.
And my background is I'm an educator. So I love to work with people and teach them core organizing concepts that then they can take to other spaces in their home. I think my biggest compliment that I get is when I hear my clients say, I was doing this the other day and I heard you there inside my head saying, well, Emily would remind me, right?
Yeah.
That means I'm helping them.
Yeah.
And I think too, whether you're thinking about moving and working with an awesome realtor like Chris here, it the earlier you start, the better. You don't have to be putting your house on the market tomorrow to be thinking about these things. And doing small things and allowing yourself to tackle it at your own pace is huge. Because again, it makes it what can be ultimately a stressful situation, it diffuses it before it gets to that point.
Yeah, I have so many people call me that say, "All right, I'm ready to sell my home. Can we get it on the market in the next couple of weeks?" And then I go over to visit their home, and it's not really ready, um, and they're overwhelmed. So if they jam all that prep time
Yep.
and property prep into even a 6-month period can be too little time.
Yep.
So So oftentimes I tell people, let's talk about, 5 years in advance or 3 years in advance
Yep.
about, and then maybe you can enjoy those new systems and
Yep.
live ergonomically from now until that time.
Yep.
A lot of people, like when they're selling their homes, they kind of fall back in love with their houses right before they sell, um, which is kind of a bummer. Like if they had done that work with you years before, thinking about how to live more efficiently and use the space they had more intelligently, I think their quality of life would increase as well. Um,
Absolutely. And I think, especially during the challenging times that we're in right now, I think one of my sort of big pillars is when you approach things, you have to first be kind to yourself. When you're dealing with a cluttered space, the clutter didn't show up overnight. Your space probably didn't turn that way overnight. So it's not going to go away overnight. It's a process.
yeah.
And if you tackle it in small, manageable chunks of time, you will have so much more success than if you sort of go all in and tell yourself, I'm just going to power through it. It's like building a muscle. The more decisions you make, the easier it becomes.
Mhm, mhm. Um, so one thing that I'm aware of for sure, because
Yeah.
6 months into the pandemic now, right? And we're all at home with our kids and with our families or with ourselves if we're living independently. Um, and people are starting to live differently, like finding different, uh, discovering new spaces in their homes and trying to use it more efficiently.
Yep.
Like my home right now is kind of a mess, but we have a desk set up now for my 9-year-old, and we're using the living room more as a playroom, whereas the playroom has become more of like an indoor outdoor space because it's kind of a sunroom space. And then my office is now storage because we can't get rid of anything, we can't donate things. So there's a lot of like overflow in the home that's now in my office.
Yep.
Um, do you have any, while people are at home, like let's say let's say we're not talking about having a virtual call with you, is there anything they
Yep.
can do by themselves um, to live better in their homes, um, and maybe a couple tips you could give to keep them
Sure.
happy in their homes while we're dealing with this new normal?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I would say is don't be afraid to put sort of temporary systems in place for this new normal. I love how you talk about how you're repurposing some of those spaces in ways you never thought possible.
Yeah,
Because I think we have to
I think a
think
lot of people are
outside the
doing
box,
that right now.
right? And it doesn't mean it's going to be forever, but it needs to work for now. And the now period may look a little bit longer than we thought.
Right.
So if you have a well-designed system, it's going to benefit you so much more in the long run. So the first thing I would say is sort of give into some of that. Everything you do now isn't necessarily going to be long term.
Right.
Um, so I think that's number one. Number two is I think we're also in a time in some ways where we're bringing more into our homes, right? People are
Right.
buying more in bulk. People are shopping more
Little bit
online.
of retail therapy is happening. Yeah.
So when you bring something into your home, have a plan for it.
Hmm.
Have a system for, if boxes are coming in, are you going to let them sit for a couple days and then deal with them 48 hours after?
Hmm.
Okay, but what does that look like? Sketch out that plan, because if you don't have that plan, a week goes by. Maybe it's not until you really need what's in there and the stack of boxes gets bigger. And make sure you have a plan for what you're unpacking.
Yeah.
Where's it going to live? Um, and that way, when it comes in, if the idea is that everything should have a home.
Yeah.
And I would also say, just to simplify your systems, one of the biggest sort of misconceptions or missteps people make is one person in the household will design this, really detailed 6-step system that makes perfect sense to them, but it doesn't make sense to anybody else in the house.
Right.
And if it doesn't,
That's like Brian.
especially now where everybody's in the house, if it's not simple enough to make a split decision, it probably needs to be tweaked.
Yeah.
So I would say just stick to being simple. And lastly, I would also say, I think it's really useful if everyone in the house thinks about sort of pre this pandemic, what were maybe your top two stress points about your space?
Yeah.
So, like for me personally, I joke it was making the bed and having a sink full of dishes in the morning.
Yeah.
So, newsflash, that's not going to go away just because the pandemic's here. So, if we can figure out, those are my two priorities every day. If we can figure out, and you can figure out a system of how to address sort of whether it's one priority per person, you're already going to help reduce the amount of stress in your household.
Mhm. Um, but I think you have to go in just a minute, right? I think you have
Thank
about
you.
a minute or two left. Um, One thing that I would recommend to everybody that's watching this video is that they reach out to Emily and set up a Zoom call just to say hello, because some of us do have extra time, and
Yep.
this is a great time to be building relationships. Um, and to be even if, I mean, you might want to do virtual work with Emily right now, but you might also want to just get an uh,
I'm happy to do
do
consults
a
with folks.
consult over the phone
Absolutely.
and kind of tee
Yep.
up work for for the time when you can get into their home in
Yep.
another month or another 2 months, whenever it is, where it's the restrictions are looser and it's also safer for you to be spending time in their homes with them.
Yep.
Um,
And as you can imagine, right? Business is slow or not going to people's homes, and I love to talk shop. So definitely feel free to reach out. Um, you can
is there
reach.
a cost for your consults?
Nope,
Those
I do
complimentary consults?
complimentary consults.
Okay,
So
cool.
happy to jump on, chat. We can look at your space.
And what's
Uh,
the best way for people to find you online?
sure. So you can check out my website is dotsandstripesboston.com.
Yep.
You can email me at emily@dotsandstripesboston.com. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, Dots and Stripes BOS.
Or people
But
can
thank
just
you, shout
thank
out.
me and I can introduce them to you directly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I, Chris, I always love the people Chris introduces me to. So if you're watching this, you're probably good people if you're in the Vietor and
Yeah. And Emily is one of the best people that I know. I mean, she's a great person, a great professional. I absolutely trust her and vouch for her. And hopefully, Emily, you find nothing but future success and happiness, and safety through this whole weird time that we're experiencing together. So,
right back
thanks
at
for
you,
thanks for
Chris.
taking your time with me today, though. This
Yeah,
was
this has
fun,
been
and
so fun.
let's flip flop, and maybe you can interview me here in another couple days.
You got it.
All right, take care.
Bye, Chris.
Bye.